And we're live. Hey guys, welcome to Whiskey, Wine, and Writing. I am your host, Tasha. Nikki can't be here with us tonight. She's got some family things going on, but she will be returning next week when we talk with Leatrice McKinney about the post-pitch slam awesomeness. So she'll be back next week. We miss her. We love you, Nikki, and we hope everything works out for you. In the meantime, I do have a wonderful co-host here with me tonight, E.L. Wicker. She is the author of the Bearwood series. The first one is Fractured Moral, free on Amazon. Go download it now. And say hi and tell us about yourself.
Hello, everybody. As you know, I can't talk all of a sudden. I'm the author of Fractured Immortal. Book 2 is coming out within the next couple of months, so I'm excited about that. And I am also Natasha's critique partner.
Yes, she is. She's amazing.
And I'm currently slush diving for Manuscript as well, which is great fun.
And then we have our most awesome guest. This is, by the way, guys, it's the night of the M's because this is Emily Bleeker. She is a host. I can't speak tonight. She is author of Wreckage, a women's fiction that was actually picked for Amazon First. I think it had over like 30,000 downloads for Amazon First. It's an amazing novel I've had the honor of reading. So Emily, go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, a little bit about Wreckage, and say hi to everybody.
Sure. Hi, everybody. Wreckage actually was picked for Kindle First, and it had 300,000 downloads for Kindle First, so we were pretty lucky with that. So yeah, I'm a debut author, and just working my way through all the ropes and learning about becoming an author as a full-time job.
It's definitely not easy. So guys, if you have any questions, thoughts, anything you want to talk about, feel free to either hit us up on the Google Hangouts link, which you can go to at whiskeyWineWriting.com, or you can use the hashtag on Twitter, hashtag WWWriting. We're here to answer all your questions, talk with Emily, and we'll be going over women's fiction versus romance. We'll be talking debut novels, getting agents' queries, and self-publishing, and all kinds of wonderful things because we pretty much have all the avenues here tonight. So it's going to be a really, really awesome show. So, Emily, who is your agent, and how did you come about getting one?
My agent is Marlene Stringer of Stringer Lit, and actually it was a kind of long-ish process. Some people seem like they have fast, agent stories. Mine was a little bit more protracted, where I started sending out letters very slowly, like very, very slowly. And Marlene was one of the first agents I sent a query letter to, and within, seriously, 5 minutes, she requested a full of Wreckage. And so I had forgotten I sent it to her because it was, I think, Columbus Day, and it was right before I was going to the zoo with the kids. And I just sent it out really, really fast, and I forgot about it completely. So then 5 months later, 6 months later, in February, he emailed me and said, "Hey, I read your book. I love it. If you aren't represented yet, I would love to talk to you."
So that's awesome. I think it's kind of funny that you forgot. I mean, did you just happen to send out that many queries, or, I mean, how did it come about that you kind of forgot that you sent a full to an agent?
I forgot that specific one. I got several full requests right at the same time, like several right at the same time, and that one just kind of got wrapped up in all of the rest of them that I sent out. But I sent it like within minutes of her requesting it. So that's how I think I forgot it. I don't know. There's no excuse.
But that's awesome. But that's awesome because, that's a lesson right there, is that always having your manuscript ready and raring to go in case you do get a full is a great thing to do, because the sooner you get it to that agent, the more excited they're going to be, because they're excited from your query letter. The query letter did its job. So I think that as long as your manuscript's ready to go, that you're going to be good. I think, the more you have to wait because you're not quite ready, the more you might lose a little bit of that momentum with the agent.
Yeah, I definitely think you have to be ready. Like, you can't be like, oh, this needs a couple tweaks here or there. You just need to be ready to send it out. And don't even start, personal opinion, I don't even start querying until it is beautiful and ready to go.
Oh, no, absolutely, because, agents do expect the polished, finished manuscript, so you definitely want to make sure that's ready to go. So, I mean, other M, I'm number
Yeah.
2, my co-host M. You're doing the nest pitch slush, so that's almost kind of like being on the side of an agent. So how's that kind of aspect doing it? Going through all these queries and the slush reading and everything like that.
It's been a lot of fun. It's been great fun, but there are a few things now that get on my nerves. One actually, Laura Hefferson, she tweeted about, and I couldn't agree more. It's rhetorical questions in the pitch. After you've read so many, they start to drive you bonkers, and you just don't care anymore. You know, because you don't know the book, you don't know what's going to happen. So when you get asked a question within that very small amount of writing, you're like, I don't know, I don't really care either. Give me more.
Yes, so there you guys have it. Even, you know, slush readers are like, you know, they're starting to understand how agents feel about the rhetorical questions, and that's the reason why you should keep the statements. Tell them straight up what's going on in your novel. Don't ask questions that they don't know the answer to. So, P.D. Pabst, I always say her name wrong, I'm sorry. She goes, was Wreckage her first novel? Em, go ahead, take it away.
Yes. Well, it was my first completed novel. I've played around with writing since I was a little girl, but it was definitely the first one that I completed. And it's definitely the first one I published. So I guess yes. Yeah.
Yes, all around. So when you did, so Wreckage was the first one you even queried.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Oh, okay.
It was the first
so
time
that's
I queried everything first. I learned about the process in order to query Wreckage. I didn't even know how to do any of that until I started researching it and figuring it all out. But one of the questions, actually, Marlene did ask me when we had our phone conversation was, is this your first novel? Saying that most authors have other novels that they've written before they end up, you know, signing with an agent. So I thought that was interesting.
Huh. I did not know that, because most of the people I know that have gone for agents don't necessarily have another, like, I mean, what does she mean like that, by like a self-published novel, or?
Oh, no, not like they've completed something and shelved it, or...
Oh, okay, so not a published novel, but something that they've written beforehand that will never, ever again see the light of day.
Right.
I have those.
Yeah, exactly. Those.
I think we all have those. Those ones that it was just like, you know, the first thing you ever wrote, whether you completed it or not, and you just like, you pull it out later and you're like, I don't know why I wrote this. This is just terrible. Like,
yeah, exactly.
So tell us a little bit how you got onto Kindle First. Like, how did that all come about?
That I was actually selected for it. So my publisher is Lake Union, and Lake Union, they are an imprint of Amazon. Then Amazon has several imprints, but this is the women's fiction, not women's fiction. They do like contemporary fiction type stories, and so with Amazon, they pick every month 4 books from all of their imprints that they put on Kindle First, and then you can select one of, if you are a Prime member, you can select one a month early before it releases for free, and if you're not a Prime member, you can get one a month, or one of those 4 a month early for $1.99. So the way my editor explained it is, she said that this committee goes into a room, they've read all of the manuscripts that they need to, and then they don't come out until they've decided which book they're going to have for, you know, Kindle First, which 4 books, and it's just a really big honor to be picked. And she used to be on that committee, and she's like, this is hotly contested, you know. It was kind of one of those surreal moments where I'm like, a whole bunch of people went into a room and started fighting about my book, you know. It was kind of strange.
That's so cool.
It was pretty cool, and it was really cool to be picked. So that I don't think I even understood. I understood the concept of why it was cool and why it would be good for me, but until it actually happened, I didn't understand the kind of exposure Kindle First could give me.
I love Kindle First. Like, before I ever, you know, picked up an agent or got anywhere even close to it, I've been a Prime member for like 4 years. So as soon as I found out about the Kindle First program, I've been on it, and every month, like clockwork, I'm getting a free book. So
Right.
so
Awesome.
it's and the thing to note about that is it's not the same genres of book each month.
Right.
Like it could be women's fic or romance or fantasy or sci-fi or contemporary or historical. You know,
Paranormal.
it could be paranormal, urban fantasy. It could also be for different audiences. It can be for adult or young adult or whatever. So it all depends, I guess, what they chose for that month. So it's not like they just stick with the 4 same genres every month. It's always something different.
And they just opened it up in the UK and for the first time a few months ago, and you can get picked in the US and not in the UK. So there are 2 separate teams that decide. So I was fortunate to be picked for both the US and the UK markets.
Wow.
That's
So that was neat.
amazing. And
That is
I've actually
pretty
read
cool.
Wreck-It. Like I was lucky enough that Em came to me and she was like, "So, do you want to go to NetGalley and get it and leave a review?" I was like, "Yes." So I went and I got it from NetGalley and I read it, and I was just totally blown away at the detail and the in-depth conversations between the characters, because it's a dual point of view. And it goes from present to past. So she has all these intricacies weaved together in such a way that it's absolutely amazing, and it just keeps you engaged. And you want to know what happened, what's happening next, what's all these secrets, what's, everything. And yeah, I was hooked on that book. I really loved it.
Oh, good. I love hearing that.
So, Em, in your opinion, let's go with Bleeker M first. I'll ask you both. What is the difference, do you think, between women's fiction and romance? Because they're 2 separate genres. So what would you say the difference is between that?
I think the biggest difference is focusing on the romance itself. Like I think you can have romance in women's fiction, but you don't have to have a happily ever after. I won't say what happens in Wreckage, but some people have called it a happily ever after, but it's definitely not a traditional, like, happily ever after. And so I think women's fiction is more about women's lives and their relationships, and rather than only about the romance and following the story of the romance, you're following the story of the woman, that is in the story.
Very cool. And what about you, M. Wicker?
Emily stole my answer. I was just basically going to say that the romance, with the contemporary romance, that is the arc, the romance between the hero and the heroine. And with the women's fiction, it's following her personal journey, through the trials and tribulations she faces in her life.
Oh, you said it better.
You're an answer stealer.
I think you both have pretty good answers, and I basically agree. I think, it doesn't have to be a happily ever after, or it's not a traditional romantic happily ever after if there is a happily ever after. But I do think that there can also be romance in women's fiction. So, it just all depends on all that wonderful stuff. So we have another question from PD. She wants to know if you took any writing classes, read writing books, go to conferences, or did it just come natural?
Prior to this, I have a minor in literature, and I took a couple of writing classes in college, and I taught writing to little kids, but I didn't take like any big official courses or anything. And definitely I don't think I called myself a writer until I signed with Marlene. Like I was too scared to even call myself, which I regret now, and I think nobody should follow my example. But it took my kids actually calling me a writer for me to have the courage to do it. They're like, "Oh, my mom's a writer." And I was like, all right, if my kids can call me that, then that's what I am. So, but I didn't take any specific courses, but I do work really hard on learning about writing. So I think I do a lot. It's not just quote unquote natural. It's a lot of research and work and learning and reading and trying to keep up with it. But I'm starting to go to conferences and stuff now.
Yeah, I think, I'm hitting on the head. It's not like you need an English degree to be a good writer, but that doesn't mean that, you know, you can't go ahead and hone your craft by taking online classes, or maybe there's a writing group in your area, stuff like that. You know, a lot of people like to use the excuse, there's some things you can't learn in a classroom. That's true, but there are still some things you can. And, you know, you can learn how to get rid of the adverbs, or, you know, make your sentences stronger, verb agreement, you know, verb-subject agreement, things like that. Exactly, that is stuff that is taught. So yes, we are creative people, we're writers, but even people who paint and do music, they take classes, they research, they hone their craft. It's still unique, but you still need to learn the basic structure and build on that to make it stronger.
Right. Yeah, and I do go to a writers group. I went to one before I published, and I have a new one now, so I definitely, besides online, I also have great support too. So, but it really.
ELM is part of my critique group. We meet every Sunday on Skype. Speaking of, I kind of need to send them my chapter because I'm up. So
yeah, you are. How about that? Okay.
I think the internet has given us, you know, a little bit more leeway to get in touch with writers, because around here there's not many writing groups that I've found that aren't, you know, like 15, 20 people, which I think is too many for me. Like, I agree. You know, stuff like that. I prefer the smaller. There's 4 in our group, and that's it. And I like stuff like that better because we rotate each week. We go over it and have different perspectives on the same chapter for each other and stuff like that. So I think smaller is better when it comes to writing groups.
Definitely. If you get too many, then you can't give help back, which is one of the big points of, you know, bonuses of writers group is getting feedback from people, but how can you give feedback to 15 people when you need to do your own writing too?
Exactly. It can be hard. Definitely can be hard. So when you actually went on submission for Wreckage, what was that like? I mean, how did that process go?
It was nerve-wracking. I think submission is a lot harder than querying. Like, not harder as in more difficult, but more stressful. Like, because when you're querying, you know exactly what the agents are saying back to you. You can be like, all right, I'm going to redo my query. I'm going to fix my first, you know, chapter. Maybe there's a problem there. When you're on submission, it's just kind of like you send it out with a hope and a prayer and wait. And then
with a hope and a prayer.
You know, so it was, you know, we did an edit with Marlene, and then she wrote a pitch and then sent it to 5 publishers. So we started off with a small list for our first round, and then just waited. And it took, I'm trying to remember how long. At the time, I knew exactly how long because I was checking my email constantly. But at this point, I think it was like 5 weeks maybe to get the call from Lake Union, and from there, you know, everything happened. Actually, I was going to say quickly, but it didn't. It still took another several weeks to get it all figured out and to decide, you know, on what we were going to do, the contract details, all of that stuff.
That's awesome. So, I mean, before the stuff went out, did you talk to your agent, like, about which, you know, where you guys were sending it for submission? Did you have a list? Like, did you do your research on them when she told you? How did that part go?
She gave me a list. She told me the editors' names and gave me a list of the places, but that was about it. And then I did as much research as I could, but I had to stop myself at some point and just be like, you know what, I know about these places, I know about these editors, there is nothing else I can do at this point. You know, I have faith in my book, I have faith in Marlene, and then just let it go, you know, and just wait. Now, if I had been out longer, I'm sure I would have been a little crazier, even though that felt really long.
No, no doubt. Yeah, I can't imagine it went by quickly for you, so... So we do have some more questions. Kayla Bolster wants to know, how did you all find your writing groups and or CPs?
Can I answer that first?
Go for it.
Well, actually, I met Tasha, Kathy, and Diana and my editor Kate, all through Pitch Wars. I think Tasha was running Whiskey, Wine and Writing at the time. She just started it. And I started talking to her through there. And the other girls, we were just twittering because we were all waiting to find out what was going on with Pitch Wars. And we, it's just the online community within those competitions is so strong and so friendly and encouraging. That, getting critique partners from there was the absolute best thing that could have happened for me. Definitely.
Walrus Writers Unite! You guys still can't know the story behind that. That's our little thing. But yes, we are the Walrus Writers. So, Emily, what about you?
My writers group in real life are mostly people that I've met through church, which was nice. So we all meet once a month. But I've actually rely more on my online writing support group, and I met all of them through Agent Query Connect. And I would not be sitting here with a published book if it wasn't for that website and for the people from that site that I found that have supported me through this process. So I think going online, that includes you too.
Yes, that's where I met Em. It used to have a chat room, but it got closed down because we had some really nasty trolls in there, and they didn't have enough people to kind of watch it out. So we have a private room now that we go into, and we all still talk. But so we still have that group from Agent Query Connect, and we still kind of all go on there and check the forums and everything like that. There are some people, just like with any forums, that are a little bit kind of rude in their bluntness when they go to help you. But that's kind of, at this point, I've realized part of the business. You're just going to find people who are like that, and you just got to learn to kind of brush it off when people are like that, and not let that intimidate you, because just some people have that elitist attitude. It's terrible, but again, just brush it off and learn what you can. And Agent Query Connect is really, really a great website to help you do that.
Yeah, and I think also what helps to remember is that you have to go through a process of finding the right person to be your partner. Like, no matter who it is or where you go, you're not going to be a match for everybody.
Definitely not. I went through quite a few critique partners before I got settled into this nice little routine of, Em and Kathy and Diana, and then I've switched chapters with Em before, and, all this other stuff. So you'll wind up finding people, and the more you look, the more you'll just start clicking with people, and you'll find it. And actually, if you're still looking, if you go to whiskeyWineWriting.com, we do have a CP classified section. You can scroll through there, see if anybody matches up for you, or if not, once you hover over the link, the form is also on the drop-down menu. You can fill out one for yourself if you're still looking, so feel free to do that, and we'll post it up for you. And when somebody replies, we send you an email and let you know.
And also, don't be worried about your skill level, because when I started critiquing with Natasha, Diana, and Kathy, I thought that I was absolutely rubbish. But actually,
she's crazy.
Pick things up that they do, and like before, I could never spot repetition, and now it screams at me from a page. So you pick it all up as you go, and it takes a little bit of time to learn all the little things.
I think I beat passive writing into her head. Like, I'm like, this is passive, this is passive, this is passive.
I no longer write passive. And the thing is as well, your brain sort of learns without you realising. So when you're typing your manuscript, suddenly you're not writing passive voice anymore. Your adverbs have been eliminated, all without you realising that you've done it. It's awesome.
So, where did the idea for Wreckage come from? Like, how did you come up with this concept? Tell us a little bit about the plot and about, where it came from.
The plot is really, I love Dateline, like Dateline-esque shows, and so it's set up kind of like an interview like that, where one chapter is an interview with a survivor of a plane crash, and then the next chapter is what actually happened. But the thing is that everybody in the interview is lying. They're lying about what's happening. They're lying about everything that happened on the island that they eventually get to. And so you only find out the truth through the flashback chapters. So that's the story. That's Wreckage. And the idea came from watching like a late night show called I Survived. I don't know if you've ever seen
I don't watch it because it terrifies me, but yeah.
Kind of freaky. But one was about, not a plane crash, a boat crashing. Sorry, am I quick here? And the boat sunk, and there were like 10 people on a lifeboat, but only 2 people were being interviewed. And as the story went on, I realized that everybody else was dead, and that these guys could make up any story they wanted to if they wanted to. Now talk about repetition. But and so I'm like, well, what could have happened? And so that kind of sparked this idea of survivors making up their own version of a story. And then what would they want to hide? That was pretty much it.
That is awesome. I mean, seriously, it really is. It's a very, and parts of it did have like my heart racing because, like I said, you can throw like anything paranormal at me, like ghosts and werewolves and all that stuff. It doesn't scare me. That kind of stuff where you're trapped, stranded, lost at sea. I mean, don't get me wrong, I'll go out on a boat any day of the week, but I'm more afraid of planes. And I will be on one next month going to Dallas for the RT convention. So, and it's going to be like my first time flying alone and going on vacation alone without my husband. So it's all kind of scary. So it's like I have all these what if scenarios running through my head. And if I watch stuff like, you know, I Survived, I'd be 10 times worse. I'd be like, oh my God, what if this happens? What if that happens? That's why I can't watch shows like that. They freak me out.
You're welcome.
But it is, PD says, how many critique partners do each of you have? And, well, we answered how we found them. But I have the 3 main ones that I meet with on Sunday, which is M, Kathy, and Diana. And then we actually also made a Facebook group, so if we have any questions during the week when we're not meeting or we're stuck on something, we can talk to each other via the Facebook group. So that's also something you can do with your online people.
Mm-hmm. I use Facebook a lot. So I have, I would say, four really good CPs that I work with.
Yeah, and having those secret groups, nobody can find them unless you invite them. So, you know, nobody's going to see these posts. That's why you keep it secret, not private, secret. So then, you know, so we have our secret group and nobody sees it but us. And so any questions we have on our manuscript, or if we have a problem with the paragraph or this section of dialogue, we just post it in the group and reply on it.
We do that quite often, actually. Throughout the week, little passages will go up on the Facebook page, and then we'll just sort of critique it underneath.
Yeah, so that's another way that you can, you know, talk to your CPs without having to be on Skype or in person and things like that. So it's just all, you know, it's about being creative with your critique partners and finding ways to talk to them and all that other stuff so that you're not going through the writing process alone, because as much as you may be creating your story, you're going to have a lot of help along the way. And it does kind of like take a village to write a novel these days.
Yeah, it really does. It's crazy. I think I did a blog post last year, or maybe early this year, about the army behind a writer, because it's not just one person that writes a book anymore. There's so many people involved, polishing and helping, you know, from beta readers to critique partners to editors. There's so many people. And in answer to PD's question, I've got my critique partners are obviously my Walrus Writers group, and I've got Dina Rogers as well, who is fantastic, and I love her. I just love everybody.
And yes, PD, this is wine. It's a mermaid. I don't know if you can say it. It's a mermaid. She's swimming in the wine. So there's a question on Twitter. She's like, is that wine? Yes, it's wine.
Okay, hold on. My computer actually is dying, and I forgot to bring my cord up. So you guys...
No problem. So M is going to go and run off and get her cord. PD is also asking, any of you have a favorite writers' convention, one you feel is more informative? That is a great question. I don't know, because this will be the first convention I'm going to, is the RT convention in Dallas in May. So it's the only one I'm going to this year that I know of, because it's the only one I can afford at the moment. However, Leatrice McKinney did post an article on Whiskey Wine Writing, the L's Survival Guide for Conferences. If you go under articles, it's there. It's a really great article. She gives you a lot of great advice. So if you are going to a conference for your first time like me, it's a really great and informative article.
Going to my first one too. Wait, give it again. I wasn't here.
Oh, PD had asked, do we have any favorite writers' conventions? Do we feel one is, more informative? I'm like, I don't know. This is my first one.
Okay, awesome. Me too. I'm going to one in Utah in May.
Is that the Midwest Writers' Convention?
It's called LDS Storymakers.
Oh, okay.
It's in.
Okay. There's so many going on. Like, I'm going to the RT. I know the Midwest Writers is coming up. The RWA, which I just can't afford because it's in the middle of Times Square, and that's, oh my God, expensive. So I can't afford that one. I'm hoping to go next year to that one, but right now RT is probably going to be the only one I can afford this year between just funds and school and everything like that. So no, I was not ignoring. PD's talking again. She's like, I thought I was ignoring her wine question. I was not. So I'm back with her cord, and her computer is not going to die. We are halfway through the show, so let's catch you up to speed. We have the most awesome EL, who's Emma Wicker. She is author of the Bearwood series, which you can get the first book on Amazon for free right now, so you need to go download that. Go on, it's free. She's going to have the second book out in, the next few months?
Next couple of months, yeah. It was supposed to have been out, actually, by now, but I hit a wall, and there was no getting me out of it. I just stopped writing, and I couldn't start again. And actually, the only real thing that got me writing again is I've co-written a story with one of the mentors from Nest Pitch, and just having to do that and having to get it done and out there got me back writing again.
The deadline is what put her butt back in gear, is what it is. So, and then you can go ahead and follow Em at EL Wicker on Twitter, and she has elwicker.com for her website.
I follow back all writers because I love you all.
And we have our most awesome special guest, who is Emily Bleeker. She is author of the debut novel Wreckage. It is a women's fiction novel about, being stranded on a deserted island after, a plane crash and everybody lying and being deceitful and all this crazy, wild, awesome stuff. It was selected for Kindle First. It is available on Kindle. It is also available in pretty much any bookstore you go to. And this is pretty awesome. She had been selected to have her book put in Walmart stores. Now, generally being like in Walmart and Target is a smaller thing, and not as many people get picked for it because they have such a small selection of books. So I think it's pretty awesome. She was selected to have her book in Walmart. Of course, my Walmart doesn't have it. I went on the treasure hunt for it, and it didn't have it. So I was a little mad because I was going to be like,
don't give up yet, because Sam's Club will also be having in May. Sam's Club will have Wreckage in it as well. So if you don't have it in your Walmart and you have a Sam's Club card, you might be able to find it there.
I have a Costco's card, so I don't think that Costco's is in like with Walmart though. But yes and no. Unfortunately, it's not here. They might be in my Coral Springs Walmart, so I might have to skimp on over there and see if they do. But in my little ghetto-esque Walmart that I'm calling it, because it's like. It's a super Walmart, but we have security guards and people like that because we have a lot of thievery at it. So they check your receipt almost like it is a Sam's Club and everything. There's just security guards everywhere.
Wow.
But yeah, in that one they don't. So I'll have to go over to Coral Springs and see. But I think at the end of this month I'm going to wind up taking a trip to the bookstore, and I'm just going to grab everybody's book that I know and build a pyramid in the store and then take a picture of it, and when people ask me what I'm doing, we'll be like, so I know all these people and you need to buy their books. So I think that's what I'm going to do.
Love it.
So make sure you follow them, and if you do have any questions for either of the M's, because E.L. Wicker is self-published, so she's got the whole self-publishing aspect going on. So if you have any questions in regards to that, that's something you're looking to do, feel free to ask. She's happy to answer. And Emily Bleeker, the other M, we have two M's tonight, is published through Lake Union Publishing. She's been on Kindle First. She's gone through the querying and the agent submission and everything like that and all those wonderful things. So if you have any questions for those aspects, feel free to ask. So we're pretty much here to cover all of your questions tonight. It's amazing. So... and we do have some more questions. PD is always full of these wonderful questions. I love her for this. She goes, EL, what did you find most difficult to get back into writing your book? How is the story going? How end? I think she means I'm not actually quite sure what you mean on that. But I guess, how hard was it to get back into writing your book?
It was really difficult. Like, I was in such a slump. Seriously, I wrote a blog post where it said I wheeled my computer chair in front of the TV, stuffed my face and cried. I actually did that. I think I've put on about a stone since Christmas because of this stupid writer's block. And, you know, my critique partners were trying to get me to write. They said, I can write, you can do it. And I was like, actually, I really can't.
And then when she did, we got like a 4,000 word chapter. She's like, "This is really long. Is this okay?" We're like, "Yes, you're right. This is awesome."
Yeah, but I did find out what it was because when I was sent this short story to do, I found it really easy to write, and also it was in a tense that I'd never written in before. It was in first person present, never ever written in that before. And I started writing, and I found that I could naturally write in that. There was no problems with, you know, too many of the same words. I did this, or I was doing this, or anything like that. So it was clearly a problem with my manuscript, and there was a portion of my manuscript that I wasn't happy with. And I am terrible at just writing from start to finish and not going back to fix things. So because I was stuck, I didn't go on. So now what I did is I ignored the problem. I'll go back and I'll fix it when I fix it. But for right now, I'm just going to write. And that's totally against everything that I've ever done, but it's worked. Like Tash said, I sent them a 4,200 word chapter on Sunday. Like, I did it! I wrote!
Emily, what about you? What do you do for writer's block? Have you like ever had a problem where you just couldn't get past something? And I mean, so how did that work for you, and how did you get past it?
I think allowing yourself to take a little break is good, you know, and reading and also watching movies for me is very inspiring. Like, I hate to say that watching movies is inspiring, but it is. Like, anything that tickles my imagination makes me want to write again. Or reading a good book. Oh, that's the best, is when you read a good book and you're like, man, I want to write again. I want to write like that. You know, that's always good. Those are probably my two go-to ways. And sometimes just writing anyway, even though you aren't enjoying it or feeling it, just doing it. That's sometimes the only way to get through those really rough spots.
I had a problem recently where I was slowing down on my work in progress, and I think I just got so mad because I started it over. Like, I had an idea. And yeah, Em knows. I was like, but this is again before the Facebook came in, because I'm like, I have this idea, but if I do this idea, I literally need to start over because it's going to change the entire dynamic of the book. And there was just no way, like, because originally they knew each other, and in this version they don't know each other. So it's just like, there's no editing that. You have to start over. And I was 20K in. So I was like, I got to a point where I was just like, oh, I think I was only like at 10K. I was like, I'm just so annoyed that I'm only at 10K when I was at 20K before. So I think frustration comes into play too, either when you have to start over or you have to redo something because it's not doing what you want to do. And frustration can cause a lot, you know, kind of stifle your creativity or just make you want to throw your laptop out the window or whatever. I mean,
you know what? I always have, okay, this is a very inappropriate name, but I always have an affair book that I'm writing. And the reason I call it that is it's this story that I've been thinking about, really wanting to write, and, you know, dreaming about, and then I have my one that I'm actually writing. And so what I'll do is when I get a little stuck on the one that I'm writing, or a lot stuck, I'll go to my affair book and I'll write on that for a little bit. So I'm still writing, I'm still practicing, but, you know, then I feel super refreshed to come back. Oh, it's so inappropriate, the whole analogy.
I love that idea. I think that's fantastic.
It works really well.
That's awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun, actually. And you know, we were talking at our last EP group yesterday. I was like, suddenly I have like 3 new book ideas, and I'm like, no, I'm gonna do this one first. So I actually I have Scapple, who it's also through Literature and Latte, who does Scrivener. So I mind map it. And I just start putting ideas in Scapple so that I have them when I actually do go to write this stuff. Apparently my dog just barked. So I do all that good stuff, and then this way when I go to actually write it, I can start doing my little plot points and then just go for it. So I think it's awesome.
I've got a contemporary romance that I'm absolutely dying to write, but I need to get this one done first. It requires all of my attention at the moment.
It's
Until
not
tomorrow when I write something else.
because those new ideas tend to like get you so excited and you just want to start writing it, but you know there's other stuff you have to do first, so it's crazy. So, oh crap, it's 8:40. So you know what? I'm gonna pause for a moment and I'm gonna go into our "What's Up with You" segment. So, Emily B, what is up with you?
I guess my biggest new news is my 2-book deal with Lake Union. I guess that we haven't chatted about that just yet. So that's a what's up with me. And I finished my first draft of my work in progress. So
That's
I'm
too
just going back.
awesome. Congrats.
So now I'm just going back through and doing all of editing and revising is my favorite part of writing. Knock on wood, that might change one day, but like I love it. So that's what I'm doing right now, and I'm really enjoying it, probably more than I should. But yeah.
That's a book deal, and awesome for finishing the rough draft, because I always love finishing the rough draft, but then I get so excited I have to jump back into it. Like, I only leave it for like a day or two, and I'm like, all right.
Yeah, me too. That was me too. I'm just like, I just want to do this.
Yeah.
Exactly. So, M. Wicker, what's up with you?
Well, as you all know, I'm writing my book too, but I'm also now writing. Actually, as of about an hour ago, I'm writing another short story with the same author. We're co-writing again, and as well as that, we're also co-writing a YA book, which is not. I write NA, so YA is really cool. So we're co-writing a full length on that, which is great. That's what's up with me. What's up with you, Tasha?
What is up with me? I don't even know. I finished classes. I finished 2 of my classes this upcoming week, and then I finished the 3rd class the following week, and then I only have 1 class left for the last week of April. They're like tapering off this semester. It's really weird. So that's awesome. And then I just found out I had to email my advisor because they have a publishing and editing class for the fall semester where we're going to go through the dynamics of literary publishing and everything like that. And we're also putting together the Coastlines magazine, which is the main magazine for my school. So I had to get permission to be into it because I didn't have one of the prereqs, and she bypassed everything because I was like, look, I have an agent and I write, and it was just like a basic creative writing class, so it's like, kind of obvious, like kind of got at least the basics, I'm hoping, down.
Right.
But she's like, yeah, you're fine. So in fall, I'll actually be in this class. So I'm really excited about that, and I think that's going to be a lot of fun. So that's what's up with me.
Yeah.
So let's talk about this 2-book deal really quick. How did that come about? I mean, is this including Wreckage, or is this 2 books after Wreckage?
2 books after Wreckage. So Wreckage was, I just signed for Wreckage. And so I don't remember how, I mean, I told Marlene right away after I signed with her that I had started a new book. But back then I was working on something young adult, and she pretty much was like, well, really we should focus on this women's fiction genre. And so I started something new. So she's known I've been working on it for a while, but I can't remember if she came to me or if I went to her and said, now is the time to go to Lake Union with a proposal. And so we did the first 50 pages and a pitch and sent it in, and then they came back with the 2-book offer.
Wow, that's so amazing.
So you didn't even have to like shop around with it. You were just like, okay, so Wreckage did good, so here's our proposal for what I want to do next, and they liked it, and they were like, yep, we like it, we're going with it, 2-book deal.
They had the refusal rights, so they got to look at my next book, women's fiction book, and have first refusal. So
gotcha.
Did not refuse it. They said yes.
So
and one more. I don't even know what I'm going to do.
We have some questions coming in. Another one from PD. This is for EL. She wants to know how you decided you wanted to self-publish, and how much research did you do before you made the decision?
Well, I'd always decided to self-publish. It was just something that I wanted to do right from the off, and it's because one of my favourite authors is actually self-published. The reason that I queried the one time is because of pitch wars. Because a friend on Twitter just asked me to go into pitch wars. So I was like, yeah, all right then. So I did that, and then I didn't get through. Vampires. No love in the Agent World for vampires.
It's urban fantasy altogether at the moment, actually. There's like no market for it.
Yeah.
I've seen people who are rejected just on that fact alone. It could be a great story, but there's just no market for it right now. So it's very difficult for anybody who wants to do urban fantasy at the moment.
And I'd always wanted to do it. So I just went ahead and did it. With regards to the research, I studied research for university, so I love doing it. So I did a lot of research, but I enjoyed doing it, so that helped. Didn't seem so bad.
So speaking of changing dynamics, another one from Katie. She goes, have any of us ever wrote an entire manuscript, then had an aha idea and completely rewrote the manuscript?
Yeah, the book that I'm writing at the moment, I deleted 60,000 words from it and started, I kept the first couple of chapters.
I was glad I was only at 20,000 words when it happened.
I just went.
I can't imagine having a full 70, 80,000, 90,000 word book, and then you're like, oh my god, this would work so much better, and then you have to delete the whole thing and rewrite it. Well, actually, I wouldn't say delete. Never delete anything. Just make a separate folder for it. Because you never know, you might start rewriting and be like, no, I do like this original concept better, or you may be able to use a scene from it or a chapter from it or whatever. So don't ever delete anything.
I pulled a lot of scenes from that 60K actually. I was able to take quite a few scenes over, so it wasn't a complete loss. I was able to take a few scenes over. There was even a chapter that I reworked that slotted in nicely, so that was good. I think about
Emily. Did you ever have a full rewrite?
Well, Wreckage actually was written all in third person at first, and if you've read it, it switches back and forth from first person to third person, and I just found that it gave too much opportunity for reflection on those scenes that needed to have secrets in it, and so I thought having a present tense made it so much easier to keep the secrets, so instead of thinking, this was the last time I saw my family, letting us know what's going to happen in the future. Having it present tense in the flashbacks actually made it a lot easier to keep all of those secrets. So I rewrote all of that into first person.
Consider how many flashback scenes and first-person chapters there are in different scenes like that. That's a lot of rewrite, Em.
It's half the book. Half of the book.
That's a lot of rewrite. Holy crap. I didn't know that it was originally all in third person. I tried to write in first person. Em's seen it. I am not great at first person. Okay.
I
am not great at it. I'm the person who does all the eyes. I'm terrible.
Hard.
It's really hard. I really like third person. I love third person.
That's what I'm doing right now, and I'm really kind of enjoying it. It's a little bit luxurious just doing third person because first person is so hard. But I think it works really well in some circumstances, and sometimes it's absolutely necessary. And I think that it really worked well with Wreckage.
My original novels that I wrote that will never ever see the light of day, those were first person.
I started off Fractured and Mortal in third person, and there are third person chapters through it, but I switched to first. I find first easier, definitely. So I'm in awe of people that can write in total third. I'm like, you're amazing. How do you do it? I can't.
I feel that way about first, so I think it's just
Awesome. Personal
how you
preference.
feel about it. So. L. Evans would like to know, how does co-writing work? Do you each work on separate parts of the story, or is it a total collaboration?
It's a case of getting the plan together, and actually with the full-length novel, we've got dual POV. So she's one character, I'm the other. And with the short stories, we just sent it back and forth, added little bits and pieces. We outlined it. We had the outline ready to go, so we knew what we were doing, and we just sort of targeted our paragraphs to hit the next point of the plot. and just work together, send it back and forth to do that. Dead easy.
That's awesome. That is awesome. Jake Devlin, who is a friend.
Jake, hello.
They talk all the time. He actually I live on the East Coast, Florida. If you know Florida, we're a peninsula. We have 2 coasts. He's on the West Coast. I'm on the East Coast. I could probably see him in about 2 hours if I really wanted to go across and drive across Alligator Alley. But anyways, he says, for Emily, what is the biggest risk you've taken with a manuscript? Any rules you've intentionally violated?
Well, I really think that actually switching back and forth and going back and forth in time and person was a big risk. And when I spoke with my agent, Marlene, the first time, she talked strongly about how most agents do not enjoy that, and that she was a little nervous about starting out a piece that was written that way, but that it worked. It ended up working with Wreckage, but I didn't know it was a risk, but apparently it was. I think the biggest risk, though, is making those changes that are scary, like you guys have talked about, and big, but doing it anyway, like knowing that this is what my manuscript needs. It's hard, but I need to do it, and I need to put in the work. And this is when you realize that writing is a job. It's fun, it can be a hobby, but becoming an author, that's hard work.
Beautifully said. Because it is a hobby at first, isn't it? And then as you write, you have to take it more serious because it becomes your everything. My work is my everything, and it is my job. I see it as my job. I earn money from it. It's my job.
It's your job.
It has to be more, not necessarily. Yes, it is your story, but in order for the story to be organic, it's not necessarily what you want. Yeah. It's what makes the story better. It's what the characters would do, not what you want the characters to do, but what would the characters actually do. And so, it makes it a little bit more difficult when you have to start killing people or making things happen that that it's kind of like the point of no return for your manuscript, but this is what your characters would do. Or you have to start over because you have an idea and it's going to make it better. Yeah. That's not a hobby. That's work.
That is work. I mean, I remember my first, because Natasha actually critiqued Fractured Them All, which is the book that's out now. And within that book, I told this really long, winding, and incredibly boring story within the story. And she's like, you've got to take this out. It's really dragging it down. And there was a lot of words, and it was hard, but I took it out because it needed to go. It did need to go.
Yeah, the scariest thing I think I've ever done, this is so dumb, is put swear words into my book. Because I don't swear. At all. And when I wrote the manuscript,
person in the world, like, seriously, she's just the big heart, doesn't curse, doesn't do anything wrong. If you talk about sex in books, she blushes. She's just so sweet. You can't help but love her. Seriously, she's amazing.
But I put stars in my manuscript until I started querying it. I had where the swear words were, I didn't have them in there until I sent it to my first agent. That was the first time that I put them in there. And my husband was like, do you want me to put them in there for you? I'm like, no, I can manage to write them in there. I like that. But yeah, that was scary for me because it's not, but that was somewhere where my characters would definitely have said those words, and I couldn't go around that. Oh my goodness, I have a kid that just.
Hi, MC. That was so cute.
That was adorable.
That was adorable. It really was. See, guys, this is what happens with a live show. Anything. So.
I am so sorry. I forgot to lock the door the second time.
Don't be sorry. It's quite all right. It's perfectly fine. So, but yeah, exactly. And that was uncomfortable for you, and it's not something you would do. But it's something your character would do, and, you had to make that decision of, are you going to bleep it out because it's not something you would do, as opposed to putting in what needed to be put in because it's something your character would do. And I think that's very hard because we are still our own people, and we do have our own beliefs, our own thoughts, and everything like that. And sometimes it's really hard to differentiate that from ourselves and our characters. And people have to realize that just because a character does something, it's not something that we ourselves would do. And I think sometimes that the readers forget that.
Right. So true.
So, but oh my gosh, we only have 5 minutes left. Guys, oh my God, you guys are amazing. So, so Emily, is there anything that we didn't touch on, anything you want to say, talk about, mention before we go ahead and wrap things up?
I wish I did, but no, you guys have covered it all.
So again, Emily's novel Wreckage is out. You can either find it at your local Walmart, and if you do, by the way, guys, she does have this like treasure hunt going on. So if you go to your local Walmart and it's there, take a picture of it and send it to her either on Twitter or like her Facebook page on Facebook, obviously, and you can put it there as well. And you can actually see. I think one of our friends, a different Diana, not my CP Diana, but another one, got it from a local library day, and she put it in this really cool statue.
That is awesome.
And just they look like they had the book, and they were reading the book together because she just got it from her library. So I think it's really fun when you do that for authors. And she does have this treasure hunt going on for Walmart. So if you find it at Walmart, take a picture, let her know, show your support. You can also get it on Amazon, Barnes and Noble, anywhere books are sold.
I also have something I forgot I wanted to show you. So I got this nice little award from Lake Union for my first 50,000 sales. So, and they're so fun. They send me like prizes, and then I got this one for 300,000 downloads from.
That's amazing.
I did her a total disservice by saying 30,000, guys. 300,000 for the first download. That's amazing. So that's awesome, and congratulations again. So guys, make sure you check out Wreckage. Make sure you follow Em on Twitter at Emily_Bleeker. She has her website, emilybleeker.wordpress.com. And then we have the awesome co-host who filled in for Nikki Roberti. Nikki, we miss you. We'll see you next week. But my CP partner was kind enough to fill in, and she does have her book Fractured Moral out on Amazon as well. It is a free download right now, so go and get it. You can follow her at elwicker. And then you can go to her website, elwicker.com, and see what she's up to and all those wonderful things. And my good CP partner, is there anything else you would like to say or talk about before we sign off for the night?
Nothing at all. Just want to say it's great to have been here. Thank you ever so much for having me. And it's awesome talking to Emily. Emily's done so well. 300,000 downloads on Kindle First. Incredible. You should be so proud.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
This is
That's
so funny,
amazing. You are just fantastic, and it's been so great having both of you on. I want to thank both of you for being here, for talking with us, for talking women's fiction and, debut novels and the mechanics and all the craziness that goes on in the writerly world. It's been a lot of fun. Guys, again, if you do have any questions for Emily, just tweet to her. I'm sure she'll be happy to answer. Either M or T. So they're pretty good with that. And it's been a lot of fun. Have a wildly creative night. Don't forget to check out our website, whiskeyblindwriting.com. Hit us up on Twitter or use our hashtag WWWriting, which is also our Twitter handle. So next week we have Leatrice McKinney back on talking about After Pitch Slam. And so we will see you then. Have a wildly creative night, guys. Take care.
Bye.
Bye.